What if a prince's life was destroyed in a single night, not by enemies, but by his own blood? The story begins 1,100 years ago when King Orvindil returns victorious with his brother Fjolnir, celebrating with his wife Gudrun and young son Amleth, gifting him a royal necklace earned through battle, unaware this happiness is temporary, because that very night Orvindil takes Amleth to a secret ritual to prepare him for manhood, where under Hymir's guidance, he is taught honor, legacy, and revenge. But the real question is, why was revenge already part of his destiny before anything even happened? During the ritual, Amleth drinks a mysterious potion, sees visions of his ancestors, and promises to avenge his father no matter what. But as soon as they step outside, masked warriors attack, forcing Orvindil to send Amleth away to safety, and hiding behind a rock, Amleth watches helplessly as his father is brutally killed with arrows. But the moment the leader removes his mask, everything changes. Because it's Fjolnir, his own uncle. Terrified but determined, Amleth escapes into the jungle, even cutting off a man's nose to survive. But when he returns, his village is destroyed, loyalists slaughtered, and his mother Gudrun taken away by Fjolnir, leaving him completely broken, forcing him to flee by sea. But before leaving, he makes one promise: he will return and take revenge, no matter how long it takes. Years later, Amleth becomes a ruthless Viking warrior in the land of Rus, living a brutal life of raids and slavery. But deep inside, his revenge still burns, until one day, a mysterious seeress reminds him of his destiny, revealing that Fjolnir is hiding in Iceland, and that he will find a magical sword by following a fox. But the bigger mystery is, what is his connection to the Maiden King? Taking the opportunity, Amleth disguises himself as a slave and travels to Iceland, where he meets Olga, a strange woman who understands him, and after proving his strength, he starts working on Fjolnir's farm, secretly planning revenge, until one night, following a fox, he discovers a magical sword meant only for him. But the real shock comes when he finds out his mother Gudrun is still alive. Amleth finally meets Gudrun, expecting to rescue her, but instead, she reveals a horrifying truth. She never loved his father, and actually helped Fjolnir kill him, shattering Amleth's entire purpose. Yet blinded by rage, he continues his revenge, killing Thorir and spreading chaos, until Fjolnir realizes the truth and begins slaughtering all slaves, turning everything into a deadly battlefield. After escaping with Olga, Amleth learns she is pregnant, and now faces a choice between love and revenge. But realizing his children will never be safe, he returns one last time, kills everyone in his path including his own mother, and finally faces Fjolnir in a volcanic battlefield, where after a brutal fight, both of them kill each other. But in his final moments, Amleth sees Olga and his children, proving that even though he lost his life, his legacy survived forever. The moment Amleth realizes that his own uncle has killed his father, fear turns into pure survival instinct. Fjolnir orders his men to find the boy at any cost, because if Amleth lives, the truth lives, and so does revenge. Soldiers spread into the forest like hunters chasing prey, and for a moment, it seems like Amleth is caught. One man grabs him, but in desperation, Amleth does something shocking. He bites off the man's nose and escapes into the darkness. Kyle, terrified, but alive, he runs without stopping, but what he sees next breaks him completely. When he secretly returns to his village, it's no longer a home, it's a nightmare, bodies everywhere, loyal people being slaughtered, houses burning, and worst of all, his mother Gudrun being dragged away by Fjolnir's men. In that moment, Amleth loses everything, his father, his kingdom, his family, and even his childhood. With nothing left, he runs toward the sea, steals a small boat, and disappears into the unknown. But before leaving, he makes a promise that will define his entire life. I will avenge you, father. I will save you, mother, and I will kill Fjolnir. Years will pass, the boy will become a monster, but this promise will never die. But what kind of person does a broken prince become when he grows up with nothing but revenge in his heart? Eyes fire. The ritual begins in a dark temple, where young Amleth sits beside his father, unaware that this night will change his life forever. Under Hymir's guidance, they perform a strange and intense ceremony, awakening their inner wolves, teaching Amleth about his bloodline, honor, and the duty of revenge. Then Hymir gives him a mysterious drink, and the moment Amleth drinks it, his world starts to blur. He sees terrifying visions, hears voices of his ancestors, and when he touches his father's wounds, It feels like generations are speaking through him. At that moment, he is no longer just a boy, he becomes something else, something dangerous. But just as the ritual ends and they step outside, chaos erupts. Out of nowhere, masked warriors attack. Arrows fly, screams echo. Orvindil immediately realizes the danger and orders Amleth to run. To survive at any cost, confused and terrified, Amleth hides behind a rock, watching everything fall apart, and then the unthinkable happens. His father, the great king, is struck again and again by arrows, falling to the ground, helpless. Amleth watches his hero die right in front of his eyes. But the real shock comes when the leader of those warriors slowly removes his mask, and Amleth's heart stops, because it's not an enemy, it's his own uncle, Fjolnir, the man he trusted, the man who just murdered his own brother. But the question is, why did Fjolnir betray his own blood, and what will he do next with Amleth still alive? Eyes fire. Without wasting a single moment, Amleth decides to follow this path of destiny, and when he learns that slaves are being sent to Fjolnir in Iceland, he sees the perfect chance to get closer to his enemy, cutting his hair, marking his body, and hiding his identity. He turns himself into a slave and boards the ship, leaving behind his warrior identity but not his revenge. During the journey, he meets Olga, a strange yet calm woman who claims to be a sorceress, and despite knowing that Amleth is not an ordinary man, she treats him with unexpected kindness, as if she understands his pain. After surviving a violent storm at sea, they finally reach Iceland, but what Amleth sees there is completely unexpected. Fjolnir is no longer a mighty king. He is now a weak ruler living a simple life on a remote farm, but Amleth knows this doesn't change anything. Revenge is still waiting. To prove himself, Amleth shows his brutal strength and earns a place among the slaves working on the farm, silently observing, waiting for the right moment. And then one night, something strange happens. He sees a fox, the same sign the seeress talked about, and without thinking twice, he follows it deep into the darkness, leading him towards something that might change everything. Years pass, and that scared little boy is gone. Now Amleth has become something far more dangerous, a ruthless Viking warrior living in the land of Russ, raiding villages, burning homes, and turning innocent people into slaves. His face is covered in blood, his heart filled with rage, but deep inside, that promise still burns, the promise of revenge. One day, during a brutal raid, when everything seems like just another massacre, Amleth suddenly encounters a mysterious seeress, a woman who looks straight into his soul as if she already knows who he is. She reminds him of the vow he made as a child, a vow he never truly forgot. She tells him that his enemy, Fjolnir, is no longer a powerful king, but a fallen ruler hiding far away in Iceland. And then she reveals something even more mysterious, that Amleth's destiny is tied to a magical sword, one that he will find by following a fox, and that his bloodline is connected to something called the Maiden King. Before disappearing, she leaves him with more questions than answers, and for the first time in years, Amleth doesn't just feel rage, he feels purpose. With the truth exposed and the farm drowning in fear, Amleth finally reveals himself, standing face to face with Fjolnir as chaos erupts all around them. A brutal fight begins, blood spills, and in the middle of it all, Amleth manages to save Olga and escape, but just when it feels like everything is finally over, fate hits him with one last twist. Olga tells him she is pregnant, carrying his children, his future, and for the first time, Amleth has something to live for, not just revenge, but a family. Now he stands at a crossroads: leave everything behind and protect his future, or go back and finish what he started. And this is where he makes the most dangerous decision of his life. He chooses both a love and revenge. He returns to the farm one last time, killing everyone who stands in his way, even his own mother, until only one man is left, Fjolnir, who challenges him to a final battle, not on land, but at the gates of hell itself, a burning volcano where fire, rage, and destiny collide, and in one final, brutal fight, both warriors strike each other down, ending the cycle of hatred forever. But as Amleth takes his last breath, he sees a vision. Olga and his children alive, safe, his bloodline continuing, and in that moment he realizes he didn't lose, he became a legend. Following the fox deep into the darkness, Amleth reaches a hidden cave where the line between reality and the supernatural begins to blur. Inside, a mysterious figure helps him connect with the spirit of Hymir, who reveals the secret of a powerful sword, a weapon that can only be used at night, a weapon meant for revenge. And after facing a terrifying guardian, Amleth finally claims it, now armed with destiny itself. He returns to the farm, ready to destroy everything, but nothing prepares him for the truth waiting ahead. When he secretly enters the main house, he comes face to face with his mother, Gudrun, alive, safe, not broken. And when Amleth reveals his identity, expecting love or relief, what he gets instead shatters his soul completely. Gudrun calmly tells him that she never loved his father, that she was never a victim, and worst of all, she was the one who helped Fjolnir kill Orvindil in that moment. Amleth's entire purpose collapses, the revenge he lived for, the pain he carried, all built on a lie. But instead of stopping, his rage grows even darker. He chooses violence over truth and begins his revenge, killing Thor, spreading fear across the farm, turning the place into chaos until finally, Fjolnir realizes the impossible. The boy he thought was dead has returned too. Years later, Amleth becomes a ruthless Viking warrior in the land of Russ, living a brutal life of raids and slavery. But deep inside, his revenge still burns, until one day, a mysterious seeress reminds him of his destiny, revealing that Fjolnir is hiding in Iceland and that he will find a magical sword by following a fox. But the bigger mystery is, what is his connection to the Maiden King? Taking the opportunity, Amleth disguises himself as a slave and travels to Iceland, where he meets Olga, a strange woman who understands him, and after proving his strength, he starts working on Fjolnir's farm, secretly planning revenge, until one night, following a fox, he discovers a magical sword meant only for him. But the real shock comes when he finds out his mother Gudrun is still alive. Amleth finally meets Gudrun, expecting to rescue her, but instead, she reveals a horrifying truth. She never loved his father, and actually helped Fjolnir kill him, shattering Amleth's entire purpose. Yet blinded by rage, he continues his revenge, killing Thor and spreading chaos, until Fjolnir realizes the truth and begins slaughtering all slaves, turning everything into a deadly battlefield. After escaping with Olga, Amleth learns she is pregnant, and now faces a choice between love and revenge. But realizing his children will never be safe,